The Beaverlodge Research Station was founded by William Donald Albright, who began conducting tests in 1914. He spent many years touring the Peace Country with his collection of lantern slides and giving talks on a variety of topics. Many of the photographs were taken and hand-tinted by Albright himself. The slides were preserved at the research station for many years before being taken to the South Peace Centennial Museum in Beaverlodge, then to South Peace Regional Archives, where they now have a permanent home. In honor of the 100th anniversary of Albright's first experiments, the Archives has recreated this lantern slide presentation, originally entitled Homestead Days, using a slide list dated November 4, 1937. Although some of the slides and the lecture notes are missing, the captions are original, and we hope you will get a feel for the work of the research station and the passion and pride of W.D. Albright at the potential of the Peace River country and what had already been accomplished. William Donald Albright was born in South Cayuga, Haldimand County, Ontario, on August 15, 1881, to Josiah and Sarah Albright. The Albright family moved to a Beamsville fruit farm when William was 13. He attended 2 years of high school, 1 year junior matriculation, and took a 2-year associate course at Ontario Agricultural College, Guelph, winning the Governor-General's Prize for General Proficiency. Following graduation in 1903, Albright became editor-in-chief of the Maritime Farmer in Sussex, New Brunswick. A year and a half later, he returned to Ontario, becoming associate editor of the London, Ontario Farmers Advocate in 1905. 3 years later, he was promoted to managing editor. In 1911, Albright convinced the Advocate's publishers to purchase and run Wildwood Farm near London with him in charge. On May 22, 1908, Albright married Eva Bell Lossing, only daughter of Robert and Mary Lossing, from Otterville, Ontario. The Albrights later had 3 children, Eileen, born in London, Ontario, and Bruce and Gordon, born in Beaverlodge, Alberta. Eileen later married William Ross, and Gordon married Ruth Lowe. Bruce joined the RCAF during World War II and died in the Essen raid on June 2, 1942. In 1913, the Albrights left Ontario to join Mrs. Albright's parents, who were part of the Bull outfit and had settled in Beaverlodge in 1909. The Albrights arrived in Beaverlodge on October 26, 1913, having journeyed via the Long Trail to Athabasca, across Lesser Slave Lake to Gruard, and finally overland by wagon the remainder of the way. They filed on a homestead and purchased a South African scrip from Mr. Lossing. Albright wrote to the director of Dominion Experimental Farms, Dr. J. H. Grisdale, in early 1914, offering to do a few tests to increase the amount of knowledge available on crops suitable for the area, if seed was provided. He was given grants in 1915 and 1916 to carry out more work, and in 1917 the government offered to lease 20 acres of his land and pay him a part-time salary to conduct experimental work, thus formally establishing the Beaverlodge Dominion Experimental Substation. Albright assumed the position of superintendent on April 1, 1919. The substation continued to increase in size and staff in the succeeding years, and buildings were gradually added. The government finally bought the farm in 1940, and in 1941 the substation achieved full station status. Various experiments were undertaken at the research station with different types of crops, livestock, and methods, allowing the station to provide suggestions to farmers in the area. Connected with the Beaverlodge substation were 5 illustration stations at Baldonnel, Pooscoupe, Fairview, Drew, and High Prairie. Albright spent his summers visiting Peace Country communities in both Alberta and British Columbia, attending field days and giving lectures, frequently against the backdrop of his own lantern slides. He was also a poet and writer whose weekly column, Timely Hints, appeared in approximately 20 Western Canadian newspapers from 1928 onward. His editorial skills were put to work in 1937, when he went to Ottawa to serve as editor of the publication 50 Years of Progress on Dominion Experimental Farms, 1886 to 1936. Albright was also very involved in the local community. In 1918, he helped organize a 1,200-name petition to extend the Edmonton, Dunvegan, and British Columbia Railway. He was president of the Beaverlodge Board of Trade for several terms beginning in 1931, and president of the Associated Boards of Trades of the Peace River for its first 2 years. He also served as chairman of a local advisory committee for the Saskatoon Island and Saskatoon Mountain Parks, was member of the Committee for Canada of the International Geographical Union, chairman of the local War Finance Committee, president of the local Red Cross, president of the West District Hospital Association, a director of the Monkman Pass Highway Association, and chairman of the school board. Albright summed up his long career and many accomplishments in his Timely Hints column of March 28, 1946, stating that 4,000 or 5,000 photographs have been taken and 1,000 lantern slides made. Scores of mimeographs have been prepared and thousands of articles penned. Each annual report, whether printed or not, has amounted to a volume. Between 50,000 and 100,000 letters have been written by the staff. 12 years' records have been kept of 409 lectures delivered in 100 halls and schoolhouses all over the Peace and Athabasca watersheds and beyond. Visitors have been entertained by scores of thousands. The register is adorned with the names of 4 governor-generals, 3 or 4 lieutenant governors, 2 or 3 premiers, 2 railroad presidents, many statesmen and cabinet ministers, scientists, tourists, land seekers, and travelers, with addresses spread from Sweden to Hong Kong, not forgetting a Vice President of the United States. Albright became ill with Parkinson's disease around the beginning of World War II, but continued his work until he was forced to retire in March 1945. The Albrights moved to the more beneficial climate of Haney, BC in October of the same year. In January 1946, Albright was granted an honorary Doctorate of Laws by the University of Alberta in recognition of his service to agriculture and his part in the development of the Peace River region. He died at Haney, BC on May 1, 1946, and was buried in the Beaverlodge Cemetery. Eva Bell Albright later moved to Edmonton and died in 1978. Following his death, the W.D. Albright Scholarship Fund was set up with subscriptions by the settlers of the Peace to assist 24 Peace River Region students in the pursuit of further education. Albright was honoured further with a memorial cairn erected by the Historic Sites and Monuments Board of Canada at the Beaverlodge Research Station. For more information on W.D. Albright and other notables and residents of the South Peace River Country, please contact South Peace Regional Archives in Grand Prairie at 780-830-5105 or check out our webpage at www.southpeacearchives.org.